Hello, 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 hello. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Who am I? Who am I? Do I have a show? Is this my show? Welcome to my show. You call this a show? You disappear for 3 weeks, don't tell anyone. You do nothing, and then you come back and expect an audience. It's over. It's over. They've all fallen away. Like sand through the hourglass. You know. Yes, yes. Here I am. Here I am. Not dead. Not dead. Thank you so much for your well wishes of support, all of you lovely people. We've, well, the important thing is that we're back. We're back, we're rolling, we're here to stay. We're bringing in the new year. Getting ready for the holidays. What are we doing? Streaming the whole way damn through. Every day. Christmas Day. All day. New Year's Eve. Fuck it. We're streaming. Yeah. Yeah, what are we doing? We're streaming about Sarah Boone tonight, people. We're streaming about Sarah Boone and her sentencing. God, that was already 10 days ago. I haven't even seen the Donna Adelson thing yet. Yeah. Yeah. Take a little step back. A little step back. Is this my show? Is this a show? Do I have a show? I have a show to do right now with you here on True Crime Metrix. Welcome back, everybody. Good to see everybody in the chat. Let's go. Because you know what'll happen is that someone will come on later and they'll say, why does this guy talk so much at the beginning, saying hello? What an ego on that guy. That guy. Just some guy. What does that even mean? That guy. It's like, it's on the same level as you people. What do you mean, you people? That guy. That guy that does what? That guy that does True Crime Metrix. Who is he? Where is he? He's here, right now, live. Right, when does this sucker kick in? Oh, here he is. Ready in the cockpit.
Order. Go. Thank you.
Ready in... Have we got audio? I don't have audio. Let me see. Let's do... There should be audio.
Unfortunately,
I think you guys
family
have
has experienced two
Why don't I have
horrifying tragedies.
Testing settings. 1 second, guys. Oh no, we're skipping ahead. This is terrible.
Deserves
Output.
justice.
Okay, now I got it.
As far as my other brother.
Okay, we're all good. We're all good. You guys are good. I'm good. We're ready to go. Just before we get started, guys, I know you've already all seen this. I have as well, and it really didn't disappoint, did it? I mean, what the hell? I can't wait to get into it with you guys, man. It's quite a show tonight, I think, from what I remember.
2020 CF 2603, State.
James Cacciatore on behalf of the state.
Defense.
William J. for the state.
Defense.
James Owens for Sarah Boone.
Ms. Boone is seated at counsel's table. Ma'am, if you could please raise your right hand, Madam Clerk's going to go ahead and swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Ma'am, can you state your full name and date of birth for the record for us?
Sarah Boone, 10-10-7-7.
We are here for a sentencing. The jury returned a verdict on October 25.
Sarah Boone, do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yeah, but not only that, lady, you're going to also hear the most inflated ego, gone to God Sermon on the Mount that you've ever heard in your life, right? That's coming.
Finding you, Ms. Boone, guilty of murder in the second degree. We're running a little bit late this afternoon. I apologize for that. I was in court all morning and took the opportunity to review all of your submittals from earlier this morning, Mr. Owens included.
Your submittals? Does it sound like he just said smiddles? What is it with these judges? We've got Judge Everett on the Skittles. Now this guy, Kranix, on Smittles. I took the opportunity to review all of your smittles. Judge Everett has reviewed the Skittles. And now we can get to the fizzles.
Including the victim, or the character statements, the psychological evaluation.
I just want to hear it one more time. Am I imagining it, or did he say Smittles?
Guilty of murder in the second degree.
Swear or affirm.
Yeah.
We are here for a sentencing. The jury returned a verdict on October 25, finding you, Ms. Boone, guilty of murder in the second degree. We're running a little bit late this afternoon. I apologize for that. I was in court all morning and took the opportunity to review all of your submittals from earlier this morning.
That's Smittles, and you know it.
Mr. Owens, including the victim, or the character statements, the psychological evaluation by Dr. Harper, the motion for downward departure.
Hello to everybody in the chat. I don't know if I can say hello to everyone tonight, guys. But because I need to get back into the flow, you know? It's been too long. I don't even know if I exist anymore. But we'll have that checked.
The motion for new trial and the state's response to same. Before we proceed with any sentencing in this matter, the court needs to address the defendant's motion for new trial and the state's response.
When are we going to address the Smittles?
The defendant's motion for new trial. Anything in addition you'd like to argue at this time, Mr. Owens, over and above what is contained in your motion, sir?
No, sir.
State.
No, sir.
All right. After reviewing the motion and the state's response to same, the defendant's motion for a new trial is denied. Based on the court's review of the record, the court's participation in the trial.
Yeah. What was what was the legal basis for that argument? Yeah. So I'd like to request a new trial and another 8 attorneys. If we could just get one attorney a week until Christmas, and we'll see where we are in January. Reason for your request. I lost.
Review of all the evidence and the court's prior findings. And
what about that plea deal? Can we talk about the plea deal? What if I plea now and save you the trouble of sentencing?
Rulings at trial and prior thereto. With that, I believe that we're prepared to proceed.
Thank you, Neverly Darling, who says, welcome back, True Crime Metrix, on your triumphant return, like Zeus riding a thunderbolt from Mount Olympus to bring you Metrix, to bring you content, to bring you comments in a safe, happy environment. How great is that, huh? Yeah, no, it's great to be back, Neverly, and I think I actually need to do this now. It's just become me. So, yeah. I'm lost without you all.
With sentencing at this time, the court has reviewed the pre-sentencing investigation prepared by the Department of Corrections. Are there any housekeeping matters that we need to address, Mr. J. or Mr. Cacciatore, before we proceed?
Not from the state.
Are there any housekeeping matters from your side of the ledger, sir, that we need to address, Mr. Owens?
Judge, I do have,
Yeah, is that your packet of Smittles, and can I have one? A red one. Or orange. But not purple.
4 lay witnesses that are going to testify. I've got Dr. Harper here to testify. Of course, my client's going to testify. But one of the 4 lay witnesses wants to appear by Zoom. She lives up in Minnesota. I don't know if that's allowed.
We don't have an objection to that. One of our witnesses will be providing an impact statement, would also like to appear on the court's virtual link.
If you need
Mr. Chicken's jacket still doesn't fit. What have you been doing, Chicken?
it, just let
Apart from crying to yourself quietly in the office
Anita know, and I could submit.
into a cold cup of coffee. Speaking of which, if you'd like to support the channel, guys, don't forget we still have a fantastic coffee link in the description for the video where you can buy us a coffee.com, or actually tonight it's herbal tea because I couldn't find the coffee. So hopefully this doesn't have a sedation effect. But it would be really good to find that coffee, but you can get us a coffee for tomorrow if you want to.
I can have her email it to you right now, the link.
We do have the link. She's waiting to get on, I guess.
Who might it be, sir? Several people.
It
here.
should be Lana Albert.
She is here, sir. She's in the. She's viewing. Her camera's off and she's microphone is muted, but she's in the lobby.
Okay.
All right. With that, State, you may proceed.
Your Honor, at this time, we would like to take an impact statement from, I believe, Anna Torres, which you will be appearing virtually.
She's not ready. They're going to have to wait.
I see several guests, but I do not see a Anna Torres in the virtual.
I know that the best bit of all of this court session, sentencing hearing, is Sarah Boone's own testimony herself, but I think it's important that we go through the victim impact statements and the people that speak on Sarah's behalf. That's hilarious. She was really good in the cell and helped with the laundry.
Lobby, sir.
There's nothing else to do, you know. Folding a shirt is fun.
Well, I think while maybe she's having some issues logging on, we have also in-person witnesses.
We can proceed with those first, sir.
Leslie! How nice of you to join us, Leslie. Welcome, Leslie. Fucking hell. I thought that was Donna Radelson. I never noticed that before, but just then. So, we gotta pause it on that. Did you see that? What the fuck? They're just merging. Just to have it all in the same courtroom at the same time. Shared trial. Sarah Boone and Donna. Look. That could be her. Like on her first court appearance. Before, well, no, one of the middle ones. Right? That is Donna. I mean, no disrespect to George's mum over here, you know. But I really did think that. My brain is just, it's not caught up yet, guys.
Please. please.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Ma'am, good afternoon. Could you state and spell your name for the record for us?
My name is Blanca Torres.
Okay. Ma'am, you can go ahead.
Okay, okay. I just want to tell Sarah Boone that I don't hate her for what she did. And I always remember that evening when that lady came into my door and she knocked at the door. And she asked for my name. I tell her my name. And then she said, "Can I come in?" I said, "Okay, yes." And she told me to sit down. I never think that was going to be my son. And then she said my son was dead. Since that day, I can't sleep. It's hard for me to remember.
This is fucking brutal, huh? But on the other side, George's sister here is built, man. I mean, talk about sporty. Not so much here, but just a second ago, you really saw the size and the strength of her back. I mean, she could be in a Nike commercial, right? She missed the trick there. That should have been a Nike tick on the back. Just do it. Life. Just life. All life. No parole.
At that moment, my son is not here no more. She don't only kill my son, she killed a father, a brother, an uncle. It's been hard. And my family, because all the brothers, they will always work together. But now it's like something real. Love is missing. Sometimes when I look out the window, I'm waiting for him to come and say, "Mom, I love you." She was always there. She called and called me. I missed us, Mommy. The last time that I talked to him was at 12.
This lady needs to listen to the song, "I Am 1,000 Winds That Blow." I think it would help her, you know.
In January, New Year, he came to my bed and said, "Mom," he woke me up and I said, "Mom, I love you. Happy New Year." And since that day, I don't see him no more. He was my son. I love him. And I miss him a lot, and my family miss him a lot too. But I don't hear him. But you know what?
Man, something about this being in a, you know, second language speaking style, dialect, is really amps, you know, amplifies it, doesn't it? You know, really different range of emotions are being explored on a cultural level, right?
I was blessed. She ain't gonna be blessed like me because I have my son. I raised him. I have his children, my granddaughter, my grandson, and she don't gonna be able to have that. And I did. I raised him. He wasn't perfect, but he was a good son. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. State anything further from this witness?
No, Your Honor.
Defense?
No, sir.
Thank you. You may call your next victim impact statement.
Hey, Amanda there. I just saw those coffees come in. Thank you so much, Amanda there. That is very much appreciated indeed.
Victoria Torres.
Do solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Ma'am, could you state and spell your name for the record for us, please?
Victoria Torres. My name is Victoria Torres. George is my brother. Unfortunately, my family has experienced two horrifying tragedies. I just want to make it clear that George deserves justice. As far as my other brother and Sarah deserve to rot in jail. Sarah has caused a lifetime of pain, a lifetime of horrible images, a lifetime of hearing my brother George plead for his life. This is just this moment for all of you. For me and my family, it's forever. Such a simple thing as using a suitcase.
Yeah.
It's so triggering.
Right. Fucking hell, right? You know when you're in the airport and you're waiting for your bags and you're watching the bags come down the thing, clunk, 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 and they all come at once, clunk, clunk, clunk. Every time they go on a plane, or when they pack, or when they unpack, anytime you use a suitcase, it's a constant reminder, right? That's just crazy. That's... Oh. You know. You can never use a suitcase again. Think about it.
I try not to close it all the way. I leave at least like 2 or 3 inches for the zipper.
Oh, that's definitely not safe. On United Airlines now, that bag will just flop out all over the runway. Padlocks. You need padlocks and wrap it with a what do you call those things? You know, those things like that you put around things and you make tight. What are they called? Rivet strap? I don't know. Something.
And it might sound crazy, but it just helps me. She really has flipped my family's life upside down. And I just hope that we can truly get justice for my brother. And I just want to tell the team thank you so much for everything they did. Thank you.
Thank you. State anything further?
No, Your Honor.
Defense?
No.
Thank you.
Hello, Spacey Dove. Yes, we're back. Finally. So good to be back. Glad you're here, Spacey.
Your Honor, could we see if Ms. Anna Torres has been able to make it online?
do not see an Anna Torres in the lobby, sir. I have lots of guests, HHSA, Mr. Beck, Lana Albert, Jason Gunn.
Jason Gunn. Where's Jason's suitcase? Is that funny? I think that's funny.
Your Honor, is there a cap to the link as to the number of individuals?
Not to my knowledge.
Of course there's not a cap, you moron. Why would there be a cap?
Could we just have just a moment?
Yes.
Every time I see this guy now, I'm thinking, does he know what he's doing? Am I the one that's crazy? Maybe he's really, really good. You know? Maybe you just need to watch him for a really long time. And then you see that it's all a master plan. That's so weird when you see the family, isn't it? Because you can tell they all look pretty much the same, like similar to George. You know, you really see George in the family members. Yeah, welcome, Rayan. Good to see you, Rayan. Uh-oh. I knew he was going to do that. Wow, this... I was just thinking, does this period of silence seem longer or shorter to Sarah? Because it's going on a while. And is she like lapping it up, going, oh yeah, just give me a few more moments of silence in a room, in a chair, at a desk, with paperwork and a microphone. Just let me bask in this for a few minutes before I go off to prison, and it's gym mat pillow and toilet with no seat, concrete shitbox, cold walls with cheap paint. Or maybe it's like painful, you know, to her. Like, come on, tell me what you're going to give me. Are you going to give me the 22 years, or is it life? Or could we do maybe 25 and I'll be out in 15? What about that plea deal? Is it still on the table? I'll take it. Guilty. Was a bold move, huh? Bold, stupid move. But she is bold, isn't she? You gotta give her that. But man, out in 8 years, out in 2032, she'd be not even 60 years old. Late 50s. Could have a whole new thing. Could have a whole new full life. That's enough time to do pretty much everything. You'd still see the tail end of your son's adolescence. Great. You know? Maybe give that a miss. Okay, how about we do the full 15 years? a cappella. Patricia Burns, she's back. Welcome, guys. Good to see you. And riding shotgun Amy, of course. Hello, hello. Come on, chicken. What is this guy? What is this guy taking a picture of? Mr. Chicken leaning, holding himself up. Oh man. Yeah. He shouldn't have licked the bag. Have you got a prescription for that, sir? Amy asks, who's dumber for not taking their deal, Katie or Sarah? Well, I think it was more predictable that Sarah would not take the deal. I didn't see her taking the deal. You know, she really believed in her case. And Catherine refused it twice. She lost, or got a mistrial, okay. And they said to her, okay, we're still going to offer you full immunity. You take it. You take it. So if you're offered that again, after just getting lucky and having a juror with purple hair who wanted to fight the government or something, whatever that was. That's all that was. That's the only reason you got a mistrial the first time. You beat the odds and you want to roll again. She would not do well in a casino. You know, placing your bets. Keep placing your bets. So to answer the question, I think Catherine would be dumber for not taking the deal twice. Here's a good follow-up question, though. Who had the most compelling evidence against them? It's different, right? Because in Katie's case, there was more varied, more of a variety of evidence, right? There were phone call taps, secret camera video, texts, cell phone towers, the whole bunch of stuff to connect her with the murder. But in Sarah's case, there's like less in volume, but she was the only one there, and she had video of herself doing the act, the overt act. That was the overt act. So who had the biggest case against them? That's a really, you see how that's different? They're both big, but you could, well, is it that one? Is it that one? What's the most compelling case? If it was either or, which one would you rather be in as the defendant? Katie McBanower or Sarah Boone? Okay, there's only so many times you can fold the binder, Mr. Owens. I love that thing when the lawyers roll across the aisle and whisper.
Yes, sir, Mr. Cacciatore.
I think we could insert some really funny captions. Maybe we should have an Instagram, theme.
With Mr. Owens, given the fact
Join us on Instagram. Fantastic Instagram with social networks. Links in the description for the video.
the victim's daughter is having difficulties with.
Is that her, Anna Victoria Torres?
Yes, sir.
I think it's painful for Sarah Boone. I don't think she's enjoying these long, just tell me what you're giving me. Is it life? Is it going to be life? Or what about the lowest amount possible by law? Could we do that? I'll take that, and I'll still appeal.
Is that it? Is that who it is? All right, ma'am, good afternoon. Can you hear us?
Good afternoon. I can hear you.
Okay, could you please state and spell your name for the
Do
record?
we need to watch this one?
My name is Anna Victoria Torres, ANAVICTORIATORRES.
All right, thank you, ma'am. I understand that you'd like to provide a statement to the court at this time. You may proceed.
Okay.
I guess we'll watch it.
Okay. So I'll be speaking for myself and my two siblings. The murder of our father has impacted us on so many levels and in different ways. I myself, for the first year, would wake up screaming every morning or night, wishing I was having a nightmare, only to wake up to remember all over again.
Let's go to...
Go ahead and swear you in.
You solemnly swear or affirm
Yeah, I think this is a Sarah witness.
the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
Ma'am, could you state and spell your name for the record for us, please?
Diane Smith, DIANE-SMITH.
Okay, thank you very much. Counselor, you may inquire.
And Ms. Smith, tell the court a little bit about you.
I was a chaplain at the 33rd Street Jail for 30 years.
And have you been a chaplain at the jail here in Orange County?
Yes, Orange County Jail.
Is it the same
Oh, imagine that, huh? You're a chaplain at the, what was it? Orange County, whatever, street jail for 30 years. Every day you have to go into work through long security. That's a lot.
30 years. Uh-huh.
Okay. And during that period of time, did you have occasion to meet with Sarah Boone?
I did.
And was it over the course of how long?
I've known her 4 years.
And if you could, tell the court what you'd like to say.
Okay. Well, I first met Sarah. She came in. We have a Christian dorm, and Sarah enrolled in our Christian program. And she was in my classes for a year. And she was very sincere in her efforts to change her life and to be a better person. And I found her very helpful. She was kind and good to people. She loved to serve. And she helped the new girls that would come in, the younger girls. She would mother them and be very kind and very helpful. And
just cut to the chase and tell us how many miracles she performed. What did she do? Did she cure the sick? What did she do?
then after she graduated from the program, I was her counselor for the other 3 years. And I always found her very sincere and, trying to do better. I spoke with many inmates that knew her and was associated with her. And they spoke very highly of her and said that, she was helpful and kind and tried to help other people. And
So it wouldn't be to do with anything that a Christian dorm might be an easy target for a manipulator? Manipulators love to take advantage of that Christian good cheer, Christians like to help, and Christians forgive, and so on. It's every Christian's a mark for someone like for someone like Sarah.
Just found her to be, very sincere and trying to be a very good person and change and help people.
Was the Bible involved at all?
Oh yes, it was all spiritual. Yes, it was spiritual growth plus character growth and character, trying to just be a better person in general. She liked to serve other people. She would help the girls.
Are we still live? Because Tarantina texted me on Discord and said, "Where do you go? Where do you go?" Well, I'm still here. Are we all still here?
Wash their clothes and show them around and teach, but spiritually, she grew very, very great spiritually.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Acapella. What about Tarantina? Is she here? Is she here in the live? Or is she just on Discord?
Hang on, ma'am, just 1 second. Hang on just 1 second.
Tarantina, tell us you're here.
Ms. Smith, state any questions.
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you.
I'd like to call Christina Pena.
Christina Pena? Christina Pena Lima? She's from Peru?
I appreciate you.
I'd like to call Christina Pena.
Wow. What a great name. Christina Pena.
Yeah, it's fine, Counselor. Thank you. Ma'am, come on up if you can. Raise your right hand. Madam Clerk's going to go ahead and swear you in.
Do solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Ma'am, if you could state and spell your name for the record for us.
Christina Pena, Christina
All right, you may inquire, sir.
Ms. Pena, how old are you?
Hey, thanks so much for those coffees, Neverly. Yeah, I just saw those come in. I don't think we've got the cool pop-up, poppy, fly-out thing. But we'll get that sorted real soon. Thanks again, Neverly.
31,
And where do you live?
Orlando.
Now, it's my understanding, Ms. Pena, that you were in the county jail with Sarah Boone.
Yes.
How long were y'all in the same cell together?
Yes, I was in there for 4 years, but we were together for 3.
Kim, hello, Kim. Good to see you, Kim. And Tarantina, you made it. Good to see you too.
Okay. And I understand ultimately the charges against you were dismissed?
Yeah.
And so you were released on what day?
April 4th this year.
2024?
2023.
2023. So you've been out for a pretty while.
I've been out for like 6 or so months now. Yeah, since April of this year, actually. Sorry.
April of 2024. And you said y'all were bunkmates there together for...
April. Or June. Probably April. Maybe June.
3 years?
Yeah.
I would assume that y'all got to know each other pretty well.
We did.
Okay. And if you'd like to speak on her behalf to the judge.
Yes. Sarah's one of my best friends, my only.
Take your time.
Yeah, take all the time you need. It's still... we got all the time we need. Take your time. Definitely take your time.
She's helped me a lot. Spiritually.
Yeah, spiritually again. See, now she's found someone who, needed spiritual help, and Sarah has brought that to this lady's heart. She's a miracle worker. That's how she comes across in this testimony she's about to give, you know, like Christ is speaking through her to the judge. You know what I'm saying? It's just like the most pious thing I've ever seen in a sentencing ever. You know, I've seen defiance, I've seen feigned remorse. You know, those are common, those are big ones. But major pious energy vibes is rarely seen.
She helps everybody. She's always, I don't know, spirit. She helped me a lot, and she would come to me. She talked to me all the time and pick me up when I was down, or if I didn't know something. She's good. I don't know. She was a good person to me. Mistakes happen. And she always helped. She always helped people. She was always helping everybody in the door.
Yeah, I picked up on that as well, Carrie B. Sarah is my only friend. You know, I'm the most vulnerable person in the jail, and made her best friend. I'm sensing a predator mentality. You know, I'll join a group of Christian women and find someone who is spiritually unwell to exploit them and make them give me a good victim testimony. Yeah, nice. Can we give her life again?
She, even like her artwork, she did art, need help or need.
Yeah, her artwork. Oh shit. Massive screw up.
Yeah. Yeah. The county jail.
Oh, terrible.
Sarah's, no.
She did artwork, like art. Have we seen any of that art? Is Sarah Boone selling her art to pay for her appeal? Oh. God, there's like quite a collection of them now, isn't there? You know, Jody and Ezra and who else is selling prison art? We see nothing from Katie. She's too busy on her hair. How many times a week does that girl get her hair done?
She helps everybody. She's always, I don't know, spirit. She helped me a lot, and she would come to me. She talked to me all the time and pick me up.
Oh, she'd come to me and talk to me all the time. That's exactly how I thought she'd be. I hated the idea before it was confirmed. Now it's confirmed. I hate it twice.
When I was down, or if I didn't know something, she's good. I don't know. She was a good person to me. Mistakes happen.
Yeah. Katie is selling pictures of her tits. What is that line that she was reported to have said while flashing the guards? That she got these courtesy of the professor. I don't know if there's anything funnier than the AI picture imagery that we could create if we typed in Katie Magbanower standing on a mess hall table, flashing prison guards, screaming courtesy of the professor, or something, or speech bubble, just the image alone with that AI shit that they do. Someone needs to call Fancy Fiction and get her to put that in her magic computer box. We just do filters around here. We're so old school. We're so original. We're so stuck in the times. Fancy fiction's moved on. She's gone to AI now. How are we ever going to beat that? How are we going to beat that? We need a supercomputer. So please do buy us a coffee on buymeacoffee.com, because, you know, we need to generate those crazy images somehow with a magic box, which Fancy won't tell us what it is.
She always helped. She always helped people. She was always helping everybody in the dorm.
Hey, thanks so much for these cool, excuse me, these cool, ice-cold, gifted memberships from Ride-In Shotgun. 5 memberships there, fantastic. So that goes to Kim, James, of course, Jane's World, Vivian. Vivian's good at picking up the gifted memberships. I think she always gets one. That's great stuff, Vivian. Enjoy it while you can. Golfer girl, welcome, golfer.
She artwork, or she did art.
Oh, is Fancy gone as well? Oh, is that weird? Oh, is that's so weird? Did Fancy Fiction and True Crime Metrix both disappear from the internet at the same time? I'm surprised that hasn't become a conspiracy. We could be in Tahiti right now, getting married. Yes. Yes. A small wedding. You know. Just the waiter to witness.
Anybody need any help or needed anything, they'd come to her and she'd help them. And even if they, you know, did wrong to her, she would still go back and help them and praise with them and pray over them and everything.
Oh my God, what? What's this? Her YouTube videos are all gone. Really? What the fuck? She must have been threatened. Threatened by, Jack Campbell. Take your videos down today, or we'll arrest you for the murder of Professor Markel, okay? Wow. So, does anyone know what this is about? Okay. I don't know what it's about.
It's just...
Oh, look at this. Let's see if I can remember how to say this name. Okay, so it's Cassie Jacobson. But now I can't remember if it's Casey. Cassie Jacobson. It doesn't matter. Welcome, Miss Jacobson.
And was she a little bit older than you?
Yeah.
How much older was she?
40, in her 40s.
Did you think of her as maybe an aunt or a big sister?
Big sister, yeah. She was like a big sister. Like a sister I never had. Because I have brothers, so I never...
The sister I never had. Yes. And now this one's gonna get torn away from you as well. You don't have much luck, do you, lady? That's your best friend? Sister you never had? Come on. Come on. You needed something and Sarah manipulated you.
We clicked right away, I don't know. We'd be walking out in the backyard and she just would always try and talk to me, but I'm a quiet person and I don't trust a lot of people.
Yeah, I got that. I definitely got that, yeah. Definitely.
So for me to open up and trust somebody, it's a lot. So
And obviously, y'all are there under difficult circumstances. Did
Yeah.
she assist you in getting through that?
Yes, and she helped me a lot with my my case, and I would help her with with hers too. We're both. Justice is not what it is. I don't know how.
Bless you.
We both helped each other out. I don't know. It's just,
Hey, I think it would be like a privilege to get blessed by a judge, right? If I make it to Leon County Courthouse, I am sneezing in the gallery. It's polite. That would be I would count that as a tremendous privilege to be blessed after sneezing by Judge Everett in court. That'd be great.
Ms. Danielle, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Any questions, State?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you.
Ms. Hill? Judge?
Yes, sir.
After Ms. Hill, I want to take Ms. Howard, please.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you can take all the breaks you like. You can have all the skittles and smittles you want. It's still life. Life. All life. Okay?
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
Ma'am, good afternoon. Could you state and spell your name for the record for us?
My name is Mariela Hill, Mariela, last name Hill, Hill.
Thank you. You may proceed, sir.
Ms. Hill, briefly tell us a little bit about yourself.
I met Sarah in jail. I spent 3 months in jail and went through a lot of unfortunate circumstances myself.
Yeah, I've been running her Twitter feed ever since they let me out. Sarah said I had to do it. And I send her money from my job.
This was in the Orange County Jail here in Orlando?
Orange County Jail.
And when would that have been? Do you recall the dates?
Yes, it was April, from April to June of this year.
Of this year,
2024.
2024.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And did you develop a relationship with Sarah Boone over the course of that 3 months?
Yes, yes. We met when I was moved to the E dorm, and I needed help with E dorm, what I needed to complete, and one of the CEOs pointed to Sarah to help me out. And since that moment, we became really good friends, and she was so helpful, so kind, so respectful and loving, not just to me, but to everyone. And I have nothing but good things to say about her, her character, her loving heart, and how deep her faith is, her faith in God, and believing in justice for everyone. So that's what I believe.
State, any questions?
No, Your Honor.
It's so obvious that this is Sarah's, like, MO in prison. Find spiritually thirsty, lonely, shy women and mother the shit out of them. And then tell them that the Lord wants you to be her pages. And they will be spiritually whole.
All right, thank you, Ms. Hill. I appreciate it. Miss Albert?
Yeah, awkward moment, right? You know, do you smile? Do you wave? Do you look down? Do you look at the family? She wanted to, like, go, oh, hi, this is so weird. We're on TV. We're here on TV. You know? Let's see it again. She really didn't know what to do. She sort of smiled, but then thought, oh, maybe I shouldn't. This is a court of law. And she's having a bad day.
State, any questions?
But it was like, oh, this is so weird. We're on TV.
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Ms. Hill. I appreciate it.
Oh, my God, that's painful.
Miss Albert?
Sarah's really made this woman fall in love with her, hasn't she?
State any questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right.
That was almost a Junum Chinder happy birthday moment, right? You know, when she almost went and gave Charlie a kiss. Oh, man. She's hilarious, isn't she? What a priceless character.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. I appreciate it.
Oh, I don't know. I think that's just so cringe, you know, because all I'm seeing is a victim that's been duped into actually feeling emotions, right? Dangerous thing. Try not to do it. Resist them at all costs.
Ms. Albert, good afternoon, ma'am. Can you hear me? This is Judge Kranick, and if you can, I would ask you to turn on your camera and unmute yourself at this time, please.
Sir, how do I unmute my turn on my camera? I know how to unmute, but I'm not sure how to turn the camera on.
Where are you?
Turn the volume down.
Yeah, let's start with that. Turn the fucking volume down. You couldn't be any louder, man. Okay? Start with the volume, then we'll find the camera.
So, ma'am,
is that better?
When you join the link, there should have been an option for like a pull down on the left-hand side of the screen for you to open out or turn on a camera. I don't know what.
Could this be pilot speak? It's more like tech support, isn't it? Judge Kranick is tech support. Can you see a drop down? Okay, click the drop down and options. Okay, expand options. Right click, save computer to file.
What device you're appearing on, if it's a cell phone or a laptop?
It is.
Is it iOS or Android?
An iPhone. Should I try to re-enter the room?
Yeah, try to do that. There should be an option for you to pick a camera. And you'll either select the default camera, and hopefully we'll be able to see you at that time.
Okay, let me, just give me 1 second.
You can just picture, this is the call from Minnesota, right? It's Sarah in the jail. She loves this thing, you know. And she was getting letters from New Zealand and, where was it else? Taiwan? No, South Korea. South Korea and New Zealand. She's getting letters and telling the judge. And now she's going to be like, yep, they were calling in. Interstate calls. Minnesota. I had a witness call in from Minnesota. On Central Time. They had to adjust the hour. Yeah, they had to call in and be my witness.
Did that work? Can you see me?
I think she had to reboot her device.
I cannot.
Shoot. Yeah, it's saying default camera. It's saying front camera. I chose it.
How have we got a tech support call in the fucking courtroom with the judge? It's saying default camera. I selected that. It's not on.
Didn't show my face or anything like that.
Do you see a green light on the camera lens?
technological skills are limited. State?
I have no objection to the witness making their statement here telephonically.
Okay, appreciate it. All right, Miss Albert, good afternoon. If you could just state and spell your name for the record for us, please.
Certainly. Lana, L-A-N-A, Albert, A-L-B-E-R-T.
Okay. All right, Mr. Owens is going to ask you some questions, and if you could just answer.
Which is which is the last name? What was it? Lana Albert, or is it Albert Lana? I don't know.
To the ma'am, I would greatly appreciate it. Sir, you can proceed.
Miss Albert, do you have the ability to turn your volume down?
Yeah. Not to remind you.
Yes, I just did. I can't hear you very well when I do that, though.
You can't hear me?
I can hear you, but very, very quietly.
How about now?
Yes, I can hear you. Am I okay?
Yeah, you sound a lot better. You were too loud earlier.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
All right, Miss Albert, tell the court a little bit about yourself briefly.
Well, I live in Minnesota. I have...
irrelevant. He should have said very briefly.
I currently have end-stage renal disease. Before I became disabled...
Minnesotans have a completely different spectrum of time. What is 1 hour in Florida is like a whole day in Minnesota.
I was a business owner in the Twin Cities here.
All right, and how old are you?
I am 50 years old.
All right, and you're
Really? Because you sound about 19.
You're disabled?
Yes, I am.
All right. And have you had an occasion since this event to establish a relationship with Sarah Boone?
Yes, I have. We have been friends for the past a little over 11 months.
And how do y'all communicate?
We've communicated a lot of phone calls, lots of tablet back and forth, and a lot of letters as well. I'd say many hours of time spent with each other.
All right. And do you want to speak on her behalf here today?
I would, please.
All right. Would you please tell the court what you would like for the court to know?
Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Your Honor, for the privilege of speaking on behalf of my friend Sarah Boone. I also want to extend my heartfelt condolences to everyone here affected by this terrible tragedy, which has brought us all here and listening in. Many articles and videos and opinions of Sarah have gone out in the airways and on the webs. Opinions that have been formed and commented on so much that it's hard not to give into the temptation to treat people like a comic book or a fictional character. In the case of my friend Sarah, the words narcissist, Karen, villain.
Yeah, that'd be good, wasn't it? The new Pixar movie is Sarah Boone. Wow. I hope I have a dream tonight where that is my dream. A new Pixar movie, but it's Sarah Boone. Should it be like an animal Sarah Boone, like a squirrel Boone? Or like just the real thing, just the whole story, but in Pixar animation? That'll be fantastic.
And many other things, they roll off the tongue with little regard to the humanity that is dismissed so flippantly. And under a lot of circumstances, I was one of those people, as I have a love of true crime. And becoming friends with Sarah has shown me that there's a lot more depth to the people I see on the screen. I'd like to share with the world and with the court about the Sarah Boone that I know. Sarah Boone is a kind, honest, and good person. The Sarah Boone I know is one who loves animals, especially the...
It's like a scene from Braveheart or something. It's really over theatrical. They're not gonna like hung, draw, and quarter her. you know, send her head to London Bridge. Calm down. You just tell us what you want to tell us.
The kind who are damaged and defenseless. How many of us would take in and pour love for a hearing impaired and a sight impaired pair of dogs? She has a natural instinct to help reach out and give of herself. Her time and energy and love, especially to those who are hurting or damaged. You all have seen her fight for her own life and truth here. I tell you this, she fights even harder for those she loves, giving time, attention, and companionship without a single thought for her own gain or what somebody can do for her. And one huge example is in the matter of our friendship. As I said before, I have end-stage renal disease caused by a genetic illness called polycystic kidney disease. As my life has progressed, things I have taken for granted have been taken away from me. I could not appear in court in person because I can no longer walk, as my dialysis treatments have affected the circulation of my legs and has confined me to a wheelchair. To say that my life has radically changed is an understatement. Through it all, I have many friends and family I love and cherish. Sarah has distinguished herself differently in this way. In the course of getting to know her, I started sharing the progressing state of my health. It was like lightning had struck her. The moment Sarah had learned the depth of my struggles health-wise, she straight up offered strenuously to donate a kidney to me. I got to tell you this. I hope she's not mad for me showing this, but she had no hesitation, no concern over personal risk or personal gain. I want to convey to this, out and around the world, that is merely offering is a good and heroic act. I've had many friends. I've not had one outside of my brother who has offered me a kidney. That is huge. I don't have anything of equal value to give.
Did she give you one? Did she give you one? You know, how do you know she would have, like, really done it? You know, you're not going to know that for sure until you really need it, you know? She could pull out at any moment. That's not a done deal. It doesn't count as anything. And he's all like, yeah, but it's the offer. The offer was amazing. Yeah, that's exactly what Sarah Boone wanted you to think. The offer was amazing. And now you love her.
To her. And that's not the actions of a narcissist. She did it as a reflex action.
It's funny because it's exactly the actions of a narcissist.
As a good person. After the verdict came in October, we spoke that night. And I hope Sarah doesn't get mad at me again for disclosing this, but out of all the shock and seriousness of what had happened in the court, the thing that made her emotionally break was that she realized she could no longer be a donor to me. I mean, I was sitting there like, hey, you know, it's going to be okay. But she was so broken up, she... couldn't help me. That's a friend. She is not, nor does she come up.
I love the dramatic pause there. That was brilliant. You could see that on the scriptwriter's paper, right? That's a friend. That's a friend. Let's hear it again. What did he say before?
The thing that made her emotionally break was that she realized she could no longer be a donor to me.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
I mean, I was sitting there like, hey, you know, it's going to be okay. But she was so broken up, she couldn't help me. That's a friend. She is not...
Yeah. The life sentence, the almost certain life sentence, is bad, yeah. But today will be remembered as the Black Hat Day because I can't give you my kidney or my liver. Call me when you would like some... What else could she give? She's not going to be donating her hair to make wigs for chemotherapy patients. Like Jody.
nor does she come up anywhere remotely close to being a narcissist. Now, one more thing before I go. Social media has worked to rip the blindfold off of Lady Justice, to take the sword out of her right hand and start assassinating Sarah's character. However, the scales are the balance.
Wow, this is deep. We've got a poet here.
Assist. Now, one more thing before I go.
One more thing before I go back to Edinburgh.
Social media has worked to rip the blindfold off of Lady Justice.
Social media has worked to rip the blindfold off Lady Justice. Okay. That's actually quite good. That's got everything. That's got visual impact and sort of double meanings and wow. Social media has worked to rip the blindfold off Lady Justice. It's also got a violence against women connotation, right? For the context of her battered spouse defense. Rip this violent act. Rip. Social media has ripped the blindfold off Lady Justice. Wow. What else has he got?
To take the sword out of her right hand and start assassinating Sarah's character.
To take the sword out of her right hand, to disarm her, to disarm Sarah, helpless Sarah, and assassinate her character. She did that herself. She made a video of her being that character on film more than once. Plus, we saw all the body cam. You know, we've got a pretty good idea of her character. Or is he saying that that's what happened? Social media. Well, those are just facts. They came in trial. You know.
However, the scales are the balance. As it says in Psalm 85, mercy and truth are met together. Righteousness and peace have kissed each other. Justice isn't justice.
Hang on. We're missing more of this fucking poet laureate.
Balance. Blindfold off of Lady Justice. To take the sword out of her right hand and start assassinating Sarah's character. However, the scales are the balance.
Now the scales. He's doing the full, you know, now the scales are the balance.
As it says in Psalm 85, mercy
oh yeah, Bible reference
and truth are met together. Righteousness and peace have kissed each other. Justice isn't justice without mercy. Our pursuit of righteousness isn't complete and right without peace.
Life, it's still life.
Thank you, Your Honor, for the honor of speaking for my friend Sarah Boone. I hope that...
Don't play on words with the title of the judge, Dick. You know, what the fuck? Thank you, Your Honor, for the honor of honoring your honorable honor.
Your justice is mixed with mercy here today. Thank you.
That's actually what Sarah Boone would say in one of those police body cam videos, isn't it? Thank you, Your Honor, for letting me honor your honorable honor.
Any questions? No, Your Honor. Any follow-up, Mr. Owens?
No, Judge.
All right. Thank you, Miss Albert. I appreciate you.
Like to call
Wheel.
Dr. Harper? You want her on the stand or?
I'm okay with her on the stand.
On the stand?
No, she can be right now. Yes, sir.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
Hey, thanks so much, Miss Jacobson, Cassie. Thanks so much for the coffees, Miss Jacobson. Sorry.
I want to see Kevin.
Oh, this is the doctor. She goes to the witness
No,
stand.
she'll be at the podium.
You misunderstood. No, you were just poorly informed.
Dr.
It was confusing. Let's see that again. That was confusing.
I want to see Kevin.
Stand?
No, she can be right now. Yes, sir.
Be right with you. Yes, sir.
Okay, so the lawyer says...
You want her on the stand or?
I'm okay with her on the stand.
On the stand?
No, she can be right now. Yes, sir.
Be right with you. Yes, sir.
Whose fault was that?
I want to see Kevin.
The judge did say I'm okay with her on the stand.
Judge, you want her on the podium?
No, she'd be at the podium. That's fine.
You were poorly informed. Don't worry about it.
Doctor, good afternoon. If you could please raise your right hand. Madam Clerk's going to go ahead and swear you in. If you could, Doctor, state and spell your name for the record for us, please.
Dr. Julie Harper, Julieharper.
All right, thank you. Counselor, you may inquire.
And Dr. Harper, we all know we were here.
How come there's a Harper surname, last name, but there isn't a harpist last name, surname?
A few weeks back for the trial and your testimony, so the judge knows quite a bit about your testimony, but if you could, I know that you prepared a report and we have submitted that to the court, which the court has read and the state has a copy.
Isn't a harper something to do with whaling? Like, is that what you call the thing that you get the whale? Like the big spear? Isn't that called a harp? What am I thinking of?
And I don't know if you want to refer to that or just speak on your own about Sarah Boone and what you did to assess her, and then any opinions that you want to express.
All right. I think that during trial testimony, I reviewed all of the documents, excuse me, and all of the records that were available. They're documented in my report as well. In addition to the forensic clinical interviews that I conducted, I also have had the opportunity to talk to her brother, Philip Paulson, in the interim since the trial, and I included his information.
Oh, is he not coming down?
In my report as to her family background.
If you could.
Harpoon. Yes, thank you. Oh. I still think a harper is someone who makes harpoons. We'll have to look it up.
Give the court a synopsis of what your findings are, or what you uncovered maybe from the brother, whatever you think the court needs to hear this relevant material to his decision in this case.
So referring to the summary section of my report, I'll keep it a brief, but I'll outline the highlights that I feel like haven't been conveyed before, which is an understanding of Ms. Boone's early family life, in that she is the middle child of her parents' union, and that her parents did not have a happy marriage. They didn't provide an opportunity to have a good role model as to how to have a partnership together.
They locked each other in suitcases constantly. It was normal. It was normal in their house. Okay? Her mum and dad, crazy for the suitcase thing. You know? But they were a more cloth fabric back then.
Ms. Boone was born in close proximity to her youngest brother, 11 months apart. And in my clinical experience and training, I would say that that disrupted her attachment with her mother, some being close in proximity with her younger brother, whose temperament just seemed to suit a relationship with her mother better than her own. So ultimately, Ms. Boone bonded with her father, though he wasn't described by either child as an affectionate person.
A harper is a maker of harps. Thank you, Patricia Burns. Yes, that sounds right. That's fucking tall order, isn't it? You know. Do you think it'd be easier than a guitar? Maybe.
He was somebody that was there for her at sporting events and more of a primary parent for her in that way. His untimely death by heart attack during her high school years was marked by her brother as a turning point for her in how she was acting at home. Her demeanor, her relationship with her mother took a turn for the worse as she was not coping well. She was using substances based on what her brother was saying. And it is my opinion that that early lack of foundational relations with her mom and not feeling very secure, the death of her father, destabilized her. That's a period of your life when you're leaving high school, when you should have formed a very solid foundation to go out in the world, and I don't think that that's what she had at that moment. She bonded easily with Mr. Boone, and you can see that there are elements of that early difficulty with her relationships because she took on a parentified role, in my opinion, during that relationship. And therefore, there's a power imbalance in that she was making decisions and not, again, having an equal relationship. I think that that led her to a sense of being a need to be right, a need to feel like she is the one that's making good decisions, to have some ego support by being in the right all the time with Mr. Boone. And I think that that led to some behaviors that she carried over into her relationship with Mr. Torres, in that she's parentified around him and acting more like a parent-child relationship, being a facilitator of housing and application.
Yeah, bossy one. Fucking mean, bossy one. Parental role. Is that a parental role? You worthless dog! Get away from my door!
For jobs and things like that. So again, there's a power imbalance that I think was very seriously misaligned as her brother and the property manager of their apartment had verified. They saw her being abused, physically abused in serious ways, or the effects of the abuse in bruising or calls to them. It is my opinion that she called for help, but when people got tired of her not leaving Mr. Torres, they stopped responding to those calls. And basically, Ms. Boone handled things on her own. And as other people with healthier boundaries probably would have left, she being acting out the pattern of intimate partner violence did not leave. She stayed long past when it would have been smart for others, or others would have said to leave, sorry. The undergirding of that not leaving the relationship is a long-term anxiety problem that became post-traumatic stress disorder. There is an earlier instance of exposure to traumatic stress in that she was the person.
I'm surprised that this is being allowed in. It's like, we've had the verdict, lady. It doesn't matter that she didn't leave. She murdered him. And this is the sentencing. So you can't now say, you know, well, she stayed. She stayed. She continued the pattern of IPV. She continued the pattern. Because that's what they do, these women. They follow the pattern, the IPV pattern. And that's what she did. And that's why she didn't leave. Many women should have left. There were signs. There were signs.
In the hospital after her father died, who found him having students perform CPR on his dead body. So that was an early exposure to high traumatic stress, witnessing that incident, and based on her brother's description.
I'll say, yeah, I bet she sees it sometimes when she wakes up in the night. You know, one of those lasting images, right?
That was something that changed her. When a person is exposed to numerous compounding stressors.
I mean, I feel sick just looking at the bag, you know, and what the sister said earlier about she can't even pack a bag now, and that she leaves the bag open when she packs it, and seeing bags is really triggering. What a drag.
their adrenaline system is changed. It alters your body. And things that might be an otherwise neutral situation, you tend to have a cascading adrenaline response to that. And I think that that ultimately, for her, as she succumbed to other instances of serious physical abuse from her partner, became post-traumatic stress disorder. I do think that that is a condition that is still existent even while she's in jail. It's something that she needs treatment for because those triggers are unmitigated, meaning that she hasn't really had the kind of
treatment or solitary confinement. How about that? If it's which is cheaper? Which is cheaper for the jail, for the prison? Confinement by much or by quite a bit? Okay. We're going to go with confinement.
therapy to address them and reduce her adrenaline and anxiety responses when she thinks of past instances of traumatic events that have happened to her. You can also respond to post-traumatic stress disorder clinically by using antidepressant therapy, and that would be something that could assist her ultimately in reducing symptoms if she had counseling and antidepressant therapy.
Now, Dr. Harper, I know that you had testified at the trial that, in your opinion, she suffered as a spouse.
Patricia Sezu. Wow, cool name. Sorry, moderators. Still trying to find I can't rewind to the start. Is the day function enabled? The day function. Well, you should be able to rewind to the start. I think other people do that. Yeah, should be able to.
The syndrome that is legally recognized in Florida, in the courts of Florida.
That's correct.
And I understand that is tied to this intimate partner violence, which is maybe the same thing, but there's a complex mental health issue that ties into that. Can you speak on the complexity of that whole cycle that one such as Sarah Boone and George Torres were involved in?
Certainly. So intimate partner violence is not a diagnosis. It's a pattern of events that occur between two partners in which the power dynamic is...
Hey, Patricia, I just checked. And you can rewind the video all the way to the beginning. So it looks like that feature's enabled.
Is altered by the physical abuse or behaviors that are controlling in nature to the point that someone's safety is threatened. It's common for victims of that to have a complex mental health condition, often including depression, anxiety, and substance abuse problems. And what might be substance abuse to cope with the problem, like numbing oneself, will sometimes result in its own diagnosis. The pattern of intimate partner violence, I think we covered in the trial, but just in summary about that, there are phases in which at first the bonding of the two partners might be something positive. They've got something in common or have pleasurable time together. And then the secondary phase of that is when...
Yeah, dating. There are phases. They meet. They hang out. They do stuff and things.
There is change in dynamic and some kind of traumatic event occurs, some instance of physical violence, and then there's a third phase in which it's like a honeymoon phase, where they're trying to right the relationship. So in phase 1, when they're having something pleasurable, the tone shifts. Phase 2, there is some kind of incident. And phase 3, there's a honeymoon phase. As that pertains to anxiety, I think that a person who suffers from intimate partner violence never stops experiencing that hypervigilance, waiting for the next instance of violence to occur. So even though they may look happy, they might be experiencing something positive, they've not really relaxed because their memory that that could or will occur again is still in their mind. So they haven't.
What are you doing here, lady? You know? It's bordering on inappropriate.
Fully stopped experiencing intimate partner violence. It's just what phase of the process they're in.
Now, and Dr. Harper, it goes into more detail in your report, which I supplied to the court, which is a total of 11 pages, and I believe that's confidential document.
That's what's been marked. I don't believe it's been filed in the court file.
Okay.
If it has, that's something if it needs to be, it's something we can address. I have reviewed it. It does reflect confidential privilege information on the first page. I don't believe it's been filed in the court file unless you did it. Okay. It already has been? All right, appreciate it. Okay, excellent. Thank you, sir.
And Dr. Harper, you're aware that the defense has filed a defendant's motion for downward departure.
Yes.
And we've listed several factors under paragraph 3, the capacity of the defendant to appreciate the criminal nature of her actions and conform with the requirements of law or substantially impaired, that she requires specialized treatment.
Fucking Owens is just going through the motions now, isn't he? He's like, yeah, well, I'm not going to be her appellate lawyer. That's done. Might get a few talk shows out of this. What was it like? Trapped with Sarah Boone for a month. For 3 months-ish. Long distance.
A mental disorder that is not related to substance use or addiction, although you agree that she does suffer from alcohol use disorder.
So she has an underlying mental health disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, and I additionally diagnosed her with alcohol use disorder.
Yeah. She's a fucking boozer. She has additional alcohol dependency disorder with multiple lineal alcohol depressive disorder. She's a boozer.
But you agree she does require specialized treatment for a mental disorder that's not related to the substance use or addiction?
That's correct.
And you agree that she's amenable for treatment?
Yes.
And you would agree that she acted under extreme duress in this unique homicide
Check all these hearts coming in. These are great. These are fantastic.
case?
Yes.
And you would agree that the uniqueness of the circumstances, the facts and circumstances surrounding the case, that the offense was committed in an unsophisticated manner?
Yes.
It was isolated.
See, he's fucking got a bus to catch, this guy. He can speed it up. Could you say that any quicker? Fucking man, that was quick. No one can understand that. The poor court reporter, where is she? She's usually in the middle of the well. Isn't she? Is that the wrong trial? No, that's where she was, wasn't it? In front of the witness box.
Yes.
And you would agree that she acted under extreme duress in this unique homicide case?
Yes.
And you would agree that the uniqueness of the circumstances, the facts and circumstances surrounding the case, that the offense was committed in an unsophisticated manner?
Yes.
It was isolated.
That's my understanding as well.
Other than she had the charge, which she was, both of them were charged at one time, and I think she had the strangulation allegation, the felony case that was ultimately dismissed when both of them were arrested.
She had a prior felony case. The facts are different, of course, than this particular case earlier today.
Dr. Harper, I believe that
He's talked to reporters as soon as he left the courthouse. He's probably got an agent set up and everything, hasn't he? Contracts ready to go. What about my fee? What about my fee? It's $3,500 an hour.
that's all the questions I've got, unless you...
I gotta eat too, right? I got to see something out of this.
Would like to say if I've missed anything, of course. Okay. And if
He's put up his own money as well, hasn't he? You know, just in hotel bills. I mean, how long was the trial? 2 weeks? Well, he would have been there before trial. So let's say he's got 2 or 3 or 4 weeks of hotel bill. For him, he's got like 5 people, I think, on his team. There was his co-counsel. He was great. He was fantastic. Forget his name. And then those girls, and then another guy. I mean, just in that hotel bill, that's probably like 30 grand. Right? What is it? Like, say, they're not going to stay in a shit place, are they? Maybe they are. Let's call it $100 a night each. That's like above low grade, isn't it? Low medium grade, $100 a night each. That's like $600 or $700 a night for a month, at least. How much is that? 7 times. How do we work it out? All you mathematicians out there. What is it? $700 a night times 28. 19,600. Just in hotel. That's not even travel, food. He's probably spent 60 grand.
it's not, that's in the report.
Yes.
Any questions?
Yes. May she take the stand so I can take the podium?
Yes, that's fine.
I wonder what he drives. That'd be Isom's first question. Tell me what kind of car he drives. Mr. Owens, what are we saying he drives? A 12-year-old Subaru Forester.
You may inquire, sir.
In pages 1 and 2 of your report, you go through the sources of your information, correct?
Yes.
And that would include 8 interviews that you had with her from the course.
We're never going to get a car guess on this channel more correct than when we envisaged June Umchinda's white BMW X5 with a cream interior. I would actually bet money that that is her car. And I bet she loves it. I bet she thinks it's great.
Of August of 2020 through September of 2024, correct?
There were 9 interviews, but 8 dates of service are listed.
You did the Miller Forensic Assessment of Symptoms Test, or MFAST.
That's right.
Inventory of Legal Knowledge, ILK.
That's right.
Clinician-administered PTSD Scale 5 examination.
Yes.
You consulted with her attorney.
Yes.
Videotaped interviews from this court case number of Sarah Boone, interview part 1 and 2, Abraham Moreno interview, Brandon Motes interview, Brian Boone interview, Juan Torres interview, and Melissa Sexton interview, correct?
Yes.
You reviewed the autopsy photos?
Yes.
You reviewed some of the digital forensic exhibits, including the Apple iPhone XS and a Samsung SMJ 327 T1 photographs from those 2 devices?
Yes.
You reviewed Bates stamped discovery pages 1 through 413?
That's correct.
Ford Taurus or Ford F-150. Everyone's got an F-150, Leslie. I meant his other car, you know. Yeah, I don't think you're even an American if you haven't got an F-150, are you? They take away your ID and demand to see your immigration history. You know, they question your status if you don't have an F-150. Yeah, his other car. A Taurus, yeah, I could see that. I see him whatever range of cars you would imagine at a cheap airport rental that doesn't have up-to-date stuff. Whatever range that would be on that fleet of cars at that rental at the airport that doesn't have up-to-date stuff. I'm willing to bet that his car is in that group. His other car, not his F-150. That's at home.
Crime scene photos are photos of a scene taken on June 19th of 2020.
Yes.
Aspire health records.
Yes.
And who do those pertain to?
Aspire health records are for Sarah Boone.
Florida Hospital Medical Group records.
Yes.
And who do those records pertain to?
That is also for Sarah Boone.
And Aspire, is that a mental health treatment facility?
It has an emergency department record, but that would be the place where she was detained under the Baker Act.
And it is routine and common in the practice of forensic psychology or psychiatry to rely on the records of other such practitioners.
As a source of information, sure.
You reviewed the deposition of Dr. Tanya Warner.
I did.
You reviewed the trial testimony of Sarah Boone, Brian Boone, Dr. Michael Brannon, Dr. Tanya Werner, correct?
Yes.
The jury verdict form dated 10/25/24.
Yes.
Witness list notice of filing amended.
Yes.
On this case. Records
maybe we should skip
Jorge
this.
Torres or George Torres involving case
What's
numbers
next?
2019 MM 5114, a 911 call and PDF.
Yeah, they're just doing documents.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Judge, I would like to call Sarah Boone.
You may proceed.
If you could take this.
Yes, please.
Yeah, we've been waiting for this. Proceed away, man. Go ahead. Give her the mic. You know? God, just that alone, huh? You know, in front of people, in front of TV, in front of the world, in front of the courthouse, you know, just being chained and then they walk you holding the chain. That's got to be rough, huh? It's got to be one of those moments where you think, how did it come to this? How did it come to this? And this is the last thing I get to do ever? Okay.
Boone, you can be seated. You've been previously sworn. You may inquire, sir.
For the record, just state your name again.
Sarah Boone.
All right. Now, this is unlike a trial, so you're allowed to speak in a narrative form, as well as I understand you have taken some notes or written a letter that you want to read from, and then you want to speak to the court after that.
Yes.
All right. Why don't you go ahead and get started?
This is actually an edited version of.
Hold on a second.
I had a lot to say. I've had a lot of time to think about things, and I didn't really know how to put it on paper, and I didn't know how much I could say or how little I should say. So what I have here is, like I said, an edited version. But I would like to read the more important parts that I feel that everyone should know that wasn't said in my actual trial. And on top of what I have on paper, I have, this is just the tip of the tip of the tip of the iceberg. So I wanted to read this, and then, if I may, I would like to address everyone in my apology on top of my statement.
You may proceed, ma'am.
Wow, that was a real... You see, that's how I should write the YouTube introductions. That was like a clear... You could see the bullet points on the page, right? Step by step. You know, this is what you're going to get from me. I've seen those other creators. That's what they do. The pros. Roberta. Other people. You know. And Sarah Boone just did it here. Prime example. But she's a straight A student, you know. That's part of this whole act as well.
Is a kind of Japanese ceramic style which means to repair with gold. In this tradition, when a ceramic piece breaks, an artisan will fuse the pieces back together again using liquid gold or gold dust lacquer. So rather than being covered up, the breaks become more obvious and a brilliant new piece of art emerges from the brokenness. It embraces flaws, weakness, and imperfections, and also teaches the essence of resilience. Every crack in a ceramic piece is a part of its history, and each piece becomes more beautiful because it has been broken. This is the wisdom of Kintu Sukuroi. In my wisdom, and with all of my repairs, then, now, and ongoing, God is...
Yeah, it's also like the most obvious, overused, therapeutic tool to convey to a patient the value of healing and embracing the shadow self. You know, it's like on page 1 of the Therapist Guild manual. You know, and so I bet it's very commonly used when they go into prison and they receive some sort of therapy, like, you can build your life back out of the pieces, the broken pieces, and you can repair that part with gold. So when you don't use super glue, you use gold. So you don't try and hide the cracks. You embrace the cracks of your broken soul, and you make them sparkle and shine with gold. Instead of super glue, you repair with gold. You know, I love how she's acting like she's... Everyone in the room has heard of this. You know, it's like she's teaching us and giving us an inspirational or inspiring thought. So if we repair the pot with gold, it's even more beautiful than if it had never been cracked in the first place at all. Wow. Giving us all a moment there. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for your Zen wisdom.
Has been and will always be my artisan. All of my gold is forgiveness. This has held me together, made me shine brighter, and overcome the damage caused by George Torres, the Torres family, the justice system, Orange County Corrections Department, social media, scoundrel detectives, infamy.
When she first said scoundrel detectives, I thought she was talking about the YouTube community. Like, I was like, is that me? Am I a scoundrel detective? I liked it. True crime Metrix, scoundrel detective. But no, she's talking about what's her name? Chelsea and Scott.
Defamation, ongoing constitutional rights violations, second-degree murder, forced into being pro se. Just as gold is very precious, forgiveness...
Yeah, but you got a lawyer. You didn't, the trial, you weren't pro se. You had representation. A team, a big team.
...is invaluable. Forgiveness is not an attempt to change or forget who, what, or how you've lived through to be so...
And like, you know, I know it wasn't the greatest performance, but given the amount of time he had to prepare, which was nothing, What did he prepare? He just went through a few bits and thought, well, I'll give it my best. You know, whatever it will be, it will be. And, you know, it didn't come off. You know, he's 60 G's down. At least.
Gold, but an act of grace, humility, and considerable self-compassion to be set free from sorrow.
There's probably ways to get, like, massive tax reduction or something that he knows from his accountant buddies that where they share an office.
Withholding forgiveness denies your brilliance.
Hey, thanks so much for the super chat, Amanda there. Please, I can't be on the screen here 1 second longer. Okay. Well, we thank you for being here. Or are you referring to something else? I don't know. Well, if you can't be here, you will be missed. You'll be missed.
And adds even greater grief and deeper heartache. Irreparable cracks on top of the already that no one deserves, no matter the pain or disappointment, untruths or injustice. It doesn't matter. As the more broken you are, even though now different than before.
She's still on this part thing. We got it. Yes. You repair the part with gold. It's even more beautiful than a non-broken part. Wonderful. Can we move on?
You've become more outstanding and more extraordinary. Above all, when you let go of blame, misunderstandings, excuses, give up your anger and cease from resentment, this is forgiven. And when you forgive, you heal. And when you heal, you move forward.
This is her whole new perspective, right? She's on the fucking highest hill in the room, right? She's looking down at everyone, looking down at the judge, looking down at Mr. Chicken, looking down at Mr. Owens, you know. She's like saying, what do you call it? Ascended to a heavenly plane. And I understand all mankind from my spiritual plateau. We've got Christ over there, Muhammad, Gandhi. Everyone's here, and Sarah's here too. You know, it's like she's saying punishment doesn't matter because I've elevated. You know, I'm with God now. God speaks through me, and I will go and do His work. Maybe she'll be like one of those guys in prison.
My goal begins with George Torres, and every time he slapped me, kicked, punched, spit on, raped, stabbed, choked, laughed at, pushed, pulled, dragged, whipped, tripped, stole from, lied, terrorized.
I'm surprised that's admissible as well. That is a brutal list, and I mean, they don't have any legal weight, so what's the point to them? They're inflammatory. They're inflammatory. Fucking families in the room, man, you know?
Threatened, humiliated, forced, degraded, made me cry. Every time he tried to end me, defeat, or destroy.
She's got a poem now as well. Degraded, made me cry. And I never knew that I would want to die, but
I forgive George for beating me senseless, for trying to sleep because I had to go to work or my son's field trip the next day, for ruining my deceased family's heirlooms tradition.
You gotta go to your son's field trip the next day. Where's my belt? Again. What is it this time? Williamsburg?
And keepsakes, my son's furniture, destroying the television we watched together. For wrecking our townhome by breaking windows, punching holes in the walls and doors, ramming his entire body into glass doors, kicking in my front and back door over and over and...
That's called walking into the door, right? Which, you know, he looks like a candidate, you know? He looked like a candidate before he died, sadly.
Over. For breaking or removing the locks from all of the doors and sometimes the knobs altogether, so I had nowhere to feel safe, including the sacred space of my son's room where he beat me bloody on his bed. For terrorizing and threatening my blind and deaf dogs by leaving the gate open I built to keep them safe, telling me he hoped I'd find their bloated dead body in the pond or scrape their remains off of the pavement, for kicking them off of the bed and throwing across the room because they were trying to protect me.
And this is so obviously descended into a complete personal attack, assassination, character assassination of George and his character. You know, why should the judge let this be? This is large. This is large. Hey, thanks so much, Jason, for that super sticker. That's wonderful. Thank you, Jason.
Make me unrecognizable to my son by breaking all of the bones in my face, like his brother Moses did to him after he kept seeing all of the bruises from George beating me, like all of the times their father beat their mother. For all of the drunken rages and fist fights with so many neighbors when wandering into their apartments during hunting expeditions after I had escaped. For drowning me in liquor and wine because I didn't want to drink, causing me to urinate on myself, then butting the end of the bottle in my face, giving me 2 black eyes and a bloody nose. For making me experience what it is to be sodomized. Threatening to kill my friends and the neighbors when they checked on me to make sure I was alive and in one piece. For threatening to burn down our townhome and set my car on fire because I got a job. For holding me hostage on...
You got a job? I'm setting your car on fire. No. I said no jobs, Sarah. I'm burning down your car today. This is happening right now.
Weekends, my son was supposed to come over by keeping my keys around his neck, my phone in his crotch, and a butcher knife stuck in the middle of the table as a warning not to ask anything or try to leave.
He was getting the table ready.
For stabbing me in the leg and not letting me call 911 for an ambulance or seek help.
She connected that with the butcher knife, but it was a steak knife that he stabbed her in the leg with.
Where I nearly bled to death until I concocted a lie to save him from being arrested. For destroying my phone with a hammer because my son called. For me experiencing ever being arrested and after today, prison. For beating...
Is that your son again? How many times is he going to call?
Almost blind, crushing my occipital lobe. For having me experience what it means to see stars, like in the cartoons, where a character has a tall lump on their head. I had that too, and many times. For dragging me downstairs by my hair in the middle of the night just to sit next to him. For taking my car driving drunk with my debit card to buy more alcohol while I slept, even after I cunningly explained the importance of my car to take my son to school foremost, me to work, and he to his batterers intervention classes and probation officer meetings, where I would be forced to sit for hours in the parking lot waiting for him.
Why were you forced to sit in the parking lot for hours? That doesn't even make sense.
For causing me so much...
She was keeping tabs.
Trauma and pain, mentally, physically, emotionally. I had to be hospitalized more than once. for destroying my reputation and integrity, for my M for murderer scarlet letter, not letting me feel safe to live, talk to other people, spend time with my son, have a job, friendships, simply go to the bathroom with the door closed, or go to sleep soundly or comfortably. I forgive George for lying, for him trying in so many ways, so many times, to end me with his terrifying love. I also forgive the Torres family, his mother and father foremost, also his 2 ex-wives and daughters, all for knowing who George was, capable of, and has done in the past, his history of violence and where he learned it, then to keep turning a blind eye when I would ask for help. All of his siblings, including Pharrell Torres, who is now on his way to prison for stabbing the mother of their baby in the side of her head. For everyone who knew what George was doing to me, sometimes how and when, but allowed and enabled. I forgive them for caring too late. I hope they all ask themselves while quiet and comfortable in bed at night the uneasy question, what could I have done to stop this from happening to both of them? And after all the time Sarah tried to, by asking for help, from all of us and so many times. Another great contributor of my gold is social media, with its greed, insensitivity, deception, obvious exploitation, and advantageous gain from my criminal case as a whole, and for sentencing me by anticipation as a result of ignorance and hate, conjured and fabricated by the organized crime that is social media, which condemned me in the court of global public opinion since the beginning. My family law case is the new prey waiting to be...
Yeah, but Sarah, you're only in court. Court's public, you know. It's public. And where's the exploitation? You're here for your actions.
Be picked apart and pillaged.
Thanks so much, Jason, for the $20. Fantastic, super chat. 20 sounds good for the night now. I have to head off to bed and listen to you tomorrow, my friend. Not a fan of the time zones. Yeah, thanks a lot, Jason. Crazy time zones. Which time zone are you in? It's not great for me either. Believe me. It's 4 a.m. right now.
From me being made infamous by social media in my criminal case. It simply seems I cannot forgive and be forgiven and move forward. Social media has made me a pariah. It has caused great oppression and undeniable disadvantages, especially by broadcasting and manipulating my cases online. In my criminal case, as a result, my opportunities to be given a fair, proper, and uninfluenced, successful conclusion was heavily depleted and poisoned. I forgive them. Also, all of the media tycoons for not having a life of their own, trying so desperately to make themselves seem so right by making me appear so wrong. Forgiveness for prejudgment, ridiculous theatrics, lies, making and taking blood money from my and others' misfortunes, accidents, and catastrophes. It's all over their hands and their keyboards. And even...
Ooh, nice touch. It's all over their hands. The blood money. The blood money is all over their hands and their keyboards. And their fancy pants streaming microphones. Blood all over the microphones.
After all that's been said and done, theorized, hypothesized, scrutinized, and blasphemed, in my case, still no one knows me. In the end, I forgive myself for not choosing my life sooner, for not being more brave, vigilant, bolder, and outspoken, stronger, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, for being hopeless, desperate, simple-minded, weak, and inexperienced. I forgive myself for not realizing I was enduring a life of domestic violence and that the vicious cycle of never ends. I had nothing to compare to. I've never been hit by a man ever before in my life. I was raised hitting a woman was wrong and should never happen. No excuse. I forgive myself for not escaping permanently, for not fighting back sooner to save myself, my son, my dogs, home, and car. Having 20/20 hindsight thinking of everything I could have done differently or better to avoid the outcome. I think about this every day since. Also, of all the good days we had together, for him at least, while I was constantly in hyperdrive, high alert, and paranoid, making sure I did everything right all the time, If not, the great possibility I would be ended as George threatened me with so many times before. I forgive myself for falling in love with a monster, and no matter how grotesque he may become, I still loved him, hoped, and forgave. I tried breaking the spell so he wouldn't be a monster anymore. I saw who he was inside. George made me then, now, and always love him for all of his cracks also. We made each other our own brilliant pieces of art from the cracks and repairs. Unfortunately, not all cracks can be. In all of my forgiveness, George is my greatest lesson and will forever be a part of me. I think of him every day and still speak to him when alone on the rec yard. I ask his forgiveness and that he looks for me at the gates of heaven so I can tell him how sorry I am, endlessly, and that I never stopped loving him. In all of it and still. When I first came to jail, I put my mat under my bed and cried all day and all night for months, only falling asleep from being so exhausted with grief. I wrote him letters. I wrote his family and his daughters, apologizing for asking for their forgiveness. But due to fear that my life or sons would be jeopardized, I did not send. I am sorry. I cannot begin to fathom any of their grief and sadness. Please forgive me. Almost everything.
Okay. Forgiven. Life.
Reminds me of him, seeing my stab wound especially every day especially. It truly reminds me that all I really did live through. George haunts me. He is everywhere. I believe because I do still love him, think of him, and miss his laugh the most. In my heart, I know he is with me and understands that this tragedy was not intentional. I hope everyone can, his family foremost.
This tragedy was not intentional. Did she do that on purpose?
I didn't mean for this to happen. Please wholeheartedly know that, and always, I would never. Forgive me, George. Forgive me, Torres family. Forgive me, Judge Cranick. To the entire planet, please forgive me. I graciously and humbly ask for consideration, for forgiveness to be extended instead of judgment, for reconciliation and restoration for all of us to move forward. My apology is profuse and ceaseless.
Yeah, and send money. Send money to appeals@sarahboone.com.
Allow me, please, to brush off the muck, wipe the blood off of my face, and fix the cuts in my skin. I ask for understanding in what really happened and for how long. For second chances, repentance, and redemption, to advocate for all domestic violence survivors, to help them overcome, heal, and still hope, always, to make...
Nah, life. You fucked around the system for a long time, Sarah. There's no clemency, leniency.
Their voices heard, to confidently walk with all of their scars on the outside and the inside, to help them not ever become a casualty of domestic violence as so many others, to stop the abuse and maltreatment before it's too late. There is always hope, and you can survive. In my soft-spoken conclusion, I ask this: would I be the darling mother, celebrated woman of the year, if it were I who died?
Celebrated Woman of the Year, is that what you're going for? Time Magazine, Sarah Boone. I gotta write that one down.
How many daughters, mothers, sisters, aunts, grandmothers, nieces, and friends have been because they did? I am a survivor.
Well, she can sell t-shirts with Jodi Arias. I think that's funny when Jodi tried to sell those t-shirts that said Survivor, which was just, she said she designed them, it was just the word on a t-shirt in a font and a colour in a straight line. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the company, the charity that was for survivors of domestic violence refused to accept her endorsement. You know, we don't want your lying, cheating defense representing what we do. Thank you. Okay? Keep your fucking t-shirts. And Sarah Boone can too. You know, I am a survivor. A survivor. To the Torres family, I ask your forgiveness. To Judge Krennic, Captain, I ask your forgiveness.
To do good, seek justice, rebuke oppressors, defend the fatherless, plead for the widow. Isaiah 1:17, all-encompassing, protect the abused.
I just wish they'd cut to the video of her screaming at George, who's collapsed on the floor. Get away from my door, you pathetic dog! You know? Isaiah, this is from Psalms. Psalms 21:9. Go into the light of a forgiven heart and receive light, everlasting art. Wow. See? I could have written the whole thing.
Written statement.
Yes.
Now, gathering your thoughts, did you want to make an oral statement?
Gathering your thoughts, meaning how long can I hold in this piss? And I wish I brought a glass of water up to bed with me. Those are your two thoughts for an hour and a half. And then you either piss yourself or you get up.
You.
All right, would you do that now?
Yes, please. My statement, my verbal statement, is primarily to the Torres family, to the judge, to his daughters. I know you all know who I really am, and...
Wow, this is like the end of Titanic or something. You know, when the old lady is telling us about being on the boat and all what happened.
That I did care for George and that I do still love George. I know you know that we had very many good days. And
good days, another one. She's product placement. You know, this is brand management. Good days, unintentional. What's the other one she likes to use? Tell me and we'll both know. Say that to the judge.
I take offense to the statement of being said that this is just for a moment. Right now with me here in the courtroom in front of you all, this is just for a moment.
So I am guilty for a moment, and then a moment shall pass, and I will no longer be guilty in that moment.
But the moments before that, in order for me to be here, is endless.
Yeah, endless. Endless bad. All of them bad. Bad moments, collected, all together. Did this. Now you're here. Big moment. Life-changing moment. Big moment forever. That's it. Prison.
It's everlasting. The scars that I have on the inside, my outside...
Well, you get out for a burial.
Scars have healed, except for my stab wound. But this has changed me as a person to see things differently and to understand things differently and to not be weak and just try to protect yourself and forever, regardless of the time that I may receive from today, I forever will have...
Whether it's life or 22.5 years. Could it be 22.5 years? How's that plea deal? Yeah, manslaughter, guilty. 8 years?
of this experience. I forever will have George Torres with me in my heart, in my mind, my body, and my soul. As he and I used to say that we were one soul split into two bodies. This is not just for a moment. It may be for...
Wow. Did he come up with that by himself? We're like one soul, but split into two bodies.
For everyone
Do you know what a twin flame is?
in this courtroom, but when I leave, this is forever. When you all leave, that this is forever. This is forever for everyone here and those who it matters to most. I am one of those who will experience this forever. I'm sorry. Words do not define.
Words do not define how thankful we are to Ride In Shotgun for those coffees. Thanks so much, Ride In Shotgun.
My shame and I don't know what else it is that I can say and convey to the Torres family how this happened. The ifs and whys and how really don't matter. It happened, and I'm sorry. Words cannot describe. And I hope that everyone can forgive me, the Torres family most of all, and his daughters, because I know what he meant to them. And I don't think that anybody ever understood what he meant to me and I to him. And I ask for forgiveness.
Ms. Boone, I have just one or two questions, if you don't mind. And you can speak on it if you want or not. But this is a unique case, and one of the reasons it's so unique is that you were in jail for 4.5 years prior to your trial. And I understand that when you were brought up as a child that you did have some spirituality in your family, some church, some religion.
Always.
But I understand that you got away from that. Did you have a chance during the 4.5 years to look back at your spirituality?
Absolutely. You know, everyone supposes that this is one of the worst experiences of my life, and it's actually been one of my greatest. If I were not beaten to death, I was going to work.
What are your top 5 things that have happened? You know, in this great process. You know, the number, the top of the list, the top 5, what are they?
Myself to death on the outside, and I never had time to get back into my Bible and to pray and to be with the Lord. And I, being here incarcerated, have had time, of course, to get closer to God, to reacquaint myself to Him and realize what it's all about.
She's realized what it's all about. Slap on the wrist. She's realized what it's all about, so...
It's all temporary, and when I say temporary, I don't mean by being set free in jail or from prison or wherever else. It means being set free and temporary, meaning that you work for something higher, you work for God, that you strive for your crown to be placed upon your head by Jesus Christ by being said, "You have done well, my good and faithful servant." I've always tried to be a good and faithful servant. I was just a servant as opposed to doing all that I can when my family were alive and I was going through everything up to this point. I've become so much more closer to the Lord, and it's made me such a better person, and I hope that I am an example going forward of the Lord's light and can draw many people to me because of it.
Set her free. Set her free. so that she can do God's work. God spoke to me, and he said, Sarah, I want you to do work outside the prison.
Any follow-up, State?
No, I assumed that was the final word.
Thank you. She can return back to counsel's table. Anything else from your side of the ledger, Mr. Owens?
No more witnesses, Judge, just arguments.
Okay. Anything else in rebuttal, or just proceed to argument, State?
Just proceed to argument.
Okay. All right. Once Ms. Booth's seated, you can proceed with your argument, either Mr. J or Mr. Cacciatore. You may proceed, sir.
Your Honor, I'm going to start my argument by what I anticipate Mr. Owens will bring up in his presentation regarding the plea offer in this case. That she was offered the resolution in this case of 15 years in the Department of Corrections to begin with. I think it's important, though, that the entire circumstance of that plea offer is put forward. And there's something very critical to that. It's not just 15 years in the Department of Corrections. It's 15 years in the Department of Corrections, but it's predicated on something. And the consideration that it's predicated on is the defendant coming to court and accepting responsibility for her actions. For her coming to court and saying, I am responsible for George Torres's death, and I accept the punishment that comes with it. That consideration was never given in this case. And because that consideration was never given in this case, the offer of 15 years in no way represents what this case is worth, or what George Torres's life is worth. That is an offer predicated on a particular circumstance, a circumstance of a first-time defendant accepting responsibility and giving every benefit of the doubt in coming to court and saying that they are ready to be punished. Those conditions were never met. So then we turn to this case, and we turn to this crime, and we turn to the actions of the defendant of taking the law into her own hands and murdering George Torres. She has never shown remorse for that. She didn't show remorse for that here today. She again painted herself as the victim. She's the victim of George Torres. She recounted the litany of evil deeds and mistreatments that he perpetrated upon her. She's the victim of George Torres' family. She's the victim of the police. She's the victim of social media. It's all about Sarah Boone. Everything's about Sarah Boone, about how she is the victim. And Sarah Boone sentenced every one of George Torres' loved ones to a life sentence. Just like she sentenced George Torres when he was in that suitcase. George Torres lived out his last nightmarish circumstance in that suitcase, begging to be let out for several minutes, which undercuts any argument that this was somehow unsophisticated. There was ample time and opportunity over and over for her to do something different, but she went forward with taking the law into her own hands and ensuring that George Torres was never getting out of there, while she went up to bed and went to sleep for hours on end. she can't say that she was in duress for the same reason. She was in such duress of George Torres that she goes upstairs and goes to sleep for 11 hours. Your Honor, there's been nothing from the testimony of Dr. Harper either that establishes any type of diagnosis that would give this court a basis to downward depart. Dr. Harper has put blinders on to the fact that she has been incarcerated for 58 months. 58 months with the opportunity to receive mental health treatment, and the expert witness is absolutely incurious about what any of those records or diagnosis.
Can you imagine what she would have done to them, the mental health expert? How many of those would she have needed? She had 9 lawyers, so maybe, I don't know, would it have been more or less? More, I bet.
Or anything that would have been there would have said. There is no valid basis for a downward departure in this case. She deserves a life sentence. Thank you.
Mr. Owens?
Well, that was pretty clear, wasn't it? There is no... What did he say? There is no grounds for a lesser sentence. She deserves a life sentence.
Response?
Just credit. First off, I want to thank you for taking the time to hear our side, hear the witnesses, and review the letters on Sarah Boone's behalf. You know, we've all been here for this trial. We've all been here for other trials. We've all got some age on us. We've all got some life experience on us. And this is a unique case. This was a unique homicide. It was a unique death. And as we all know, a lot of these cases are not black and white. They're shades of gray. And these crimes don't occur in a vacuum. That there's generally a history, especially involving a domestic couple, a history that comes into play that must be explored. And a lot of what Sarah...
Maybe this guy should get together with Amber Heard's lawyer and start a new firm, you know. I was watching some of her today. What's her name? Berger something. I don't know. I can't remember. Bergenhoff? Something like that. Yeah, she's going all around those shows saying, oh, this is a terrible day for women. For all women. Women have lost. Down another peg. The nerve. You know, the nerve of that. But I guess that's what this guy will be doing, right?
Been testified to here today probably happened behind closed doors. And we all know that many times we do not know what happens behind closed doors between a man and a woman in their home, unless there is some reason for the neighbor.
Unless there's a video or multiple videos that she provided from her cell phone, you know, unless there's that's how you do find out what happens behind closed doors. If you film it, which she did, and we've watched.
Or law enforcement or somebody else to get involved. And that happened in this case. And so gradually over time, as this event occurred, there was an investigation, and it was learned that there was a history of domestic violence involving these two parties. And what we learned was that physically there was violence, and there were photographs to establish that, as were introduced in the trial. And then there was testimony from experts, not only the defense expert, Dr. Harper, that Sarah Boone was the victim, and she was a victim of intimate partner violence, but coupled with the fact that the state's expert testified on the stand at the trial that Sarah Boone was a victim of...
Elaine Braderhoff. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Natalie. That's correct.
Intimate partner violence, that she suffered from this domestic or this battered spouse syndrome as the hands of George Torres. So there's two sides to it. And
yeah, there's the wrong side and the guilty side.
In a domestic violence situation like that, 95% of the women get out of that relationship. When violence starts to occur, they've either been raised a certain way, they have a certain self-esteem about themselves, where they refuse to put up with it, knowing that it's wrong, knowing that they can do better. But there is a small percentage throughout the country that, for whatever reason, mental health issues, addiction issues, whatever it is, it's complex.
Yeah. Both of those and other, probably a bunch of genetic predisposition. You know.
Financial reasons, children are involved, whatever. If you do any studying on it, there are circumstances where there is a group of women, predominantly women, it can happen to men, but majority of the time it's a woman that gets caught in this cycle of what we term as intimate partner violence. And heard the testimony about the cycle that occurs. It's over a period of time and it repeats itself, and you go through these phases. And a lot of times the victim's not a great historian at trying to articulate it. She tried to do it here today. And I think on Sarah Boone's behalf, she is a unique individual. She's got the personality that she's got. I don't know, you heard from Dr. Harper that a lot of that was formulated based on the way her mother did not bond with her, the way that her father was the way that he was, the fact that she lost several relatives at a young age, and the trauma that can result. We heard from Dr. Harper that she did suffer from post-traumatic stress as it relates to that trauma in early childhood, and then again as it relates to the events that occurred between Mr. Torres and her. So it's complicated, Judge. It's complicated. But the jury has spoken. Sarah Boone was entitled under Florida law to present that defense, and she did. That testimony was allowed to be presented. She was allowed to testify. But the jury spoke. And so here we are today with you in a position to decide what is justice for Sarah Boone.
He's decided. He's not going to be swayed. He decided at the end of the trial. He knew before then, you know.
And I don't know you that much other than our time together, but from what I know you try to do the right thing. And that's what we're asking the court to do. to have some discernment, to have some understanding of the unique situation that Sarah Boone found herself in. And quite frankly, Judge, this all didn't...
It's a strange job, isn't it? Imagine standing there, talking to this guy on this big box, you know, really intently pleading. It's really like a performance.
Occur behind closed doors. A lot of this was in the public eye. Mr. Torres had, I believe, 3 criminal cases before the courts of this county in which Sarah Boone was a victim. Mr. Torres...
Yeah, victim and perpetrator. That's page 2.
Was the accused. Those cases were dismissed. We know from the history of this domestic violence field that that's normal, that Sarah Boone every time either tried to bond him out or tried to get the case dismissed. At some point, somebody has to stop. Somebody has to say, wait. What's going on here? This keeps repeating. It's going to get worse. Something's going to happen. The system failed, Sarah Boone. I'd ask for you to consider that. Circumstances surrounding that failure and what led us here today.
What led us here today? Yeah.
I've asked the court to consider a downward departure. I believe you've gotten a copy of the score sheet, please.
Not since before trial.
Okay.
Is the score sheet stipulated to?
Yes, yes, sir.
All right, you may approach. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Judge, I was provided that here today, and I believe, I can't remember the total number of months that it involves, but divided by 12, I think it's 20
months. It's months.
months. 20.6 is the low end of the, I believe, I can't remember the total number of months that it involves, but divided by 12, I think it's 20 months. 20.6 is the low end of the guidelines or something about.
It's 246.0 months based on the score sheet.
I did the calculation, but I believe that the low end is 20 years.
What did he
I'm sorry,
say?
20 years.
20 months.
I can't remember the total number of months that it involves, but divided by 12, I think it's 20 months. 20.6 is the low end of the guidelines or something.
Yeah, we're asking for 20 months. Life or 20 months?
About.
It's 246.0 months based on the score sheet.
I did the calculation, but I believe that the low end is 20 years. I'm sorry, 20 years, 20.6 years state prison.
Yeah, nice try, man. You're not going to get that past Judge Kranick, man. You know, no way. He's like, yeah, fine. 20 months, signs the paper, it's done. Can't go back on it. Legal. You know, disaster. The family's like crying in the gallery. You know, oh, she's going to be out in 20 months. Oh, how much is that? It's not even 2 years. Wow. And convert that to time served. And I want compensation for the extra time I've been in jail. You owe me 3 years. You owe me $1 million. Let me go and give me $1 million.
I believe is the low end.
20.5. Yes, sir.
And as the court knows, I believe it's on page 3. There are some aggravators that the court can consider in imposing the sentence, and then there are a list of mitigators that the court can consider in downward departing, meaning going lesser than the low end of the guidelines. And in the defendant's motion for downward departure, we mentioned, and I had Dr. Harper testify about 2 or 3 of the grounds, and the court needs to only find one to go below the guidelines. The capacity of the defendant to appreciate the criminal nature of her actions and to conform said actions to the requirements of the law were substantially impaired. Judge, I don't have to reiterate the facts and circumstances surrounding this event. You were here, you heard the testimony, you heard the circumstances surrounding what happened and how it happened. I would ask that you consider that as a mitigator. 2D, the defendant requires specialized treatment for a mental disorder that is not related to substance abuse or addiction and is amenable to treatment. I think it's fair to say here that we know that Sarah suffers from some mental health issues, objective mental health issues that have been opined by Dr. Harper and Dr. Werner. And you heard Dr. Harper testify about the post-traumatic stress disorder that she suffers from as it relates to this event, as it relates to her trauma that occurred in childhood. I think we heard from Dr. Werner. Dr. Werner testified that she suffered from the alcohol abuse disorder, as did Dr. Harper, but Dr. Werner also mentioned that she was not for sure about the anxiety disorder, whether it occurred prior to or because she was in the jail for the 4.5 years. However, she does require specialized treatment for the mental disorder, and she is amenable for treatment. And then third, the defendant acted under extreme duress, I think based on Sarah Boone's mindset as she testified to her today, and then you heard from the experts at the trial that when you get that anxious about what happens, Sarah testified about they would have good days where there would be no drinking or very little drinking, and then there would be other days where there was heavy drinking, and generally when George Torres got highly intoxicated is when potentially things could get violent, and that she was constantly anxious about each day that she was with him. She loved him. Obviously, being in a cycle like that where you love someone but can't leave them. For whatever reason, George Torres couldn't leave Sarah Boone, and Sarah Boone couldn't leave George Torres, and it was a vicious cycle. But we believe that she qualifies under that it was under extreme duress at the time of this event. And lastly, the defense was committed in an unsophisticated manner, which was an isolated incident. Now, isolated, we know, Judge, that she had one prior event in which both of them were arrested. You heard her testimony that it was during an event. They ended up downstairs next to the washer and dryer, and that she was on the bottom, and she had used her hands to try to get him off, and she had tried to choke him, and there were some marks on him. And she was arrested for I think felony domestic violence battery, as well as he was arrested. I think a few days later, both of those charges were dismissed against either party. But she has no criminal conviction record.
Good evening, Mary. How you doing?
She's never been convicted of a crime other than that event. Now, I think that can be distinguished. So we believe that it was an unsophisticated manner. Obviously, the uniqueness of this event is unsophisticated. Anybody that would calculate that they were going to murder somebody by putting them in a suitcase and letting them spend the night, and the next morning not try to dispose of the body, not try to put the suitcase in a car and go dump the body, not try to dispose of the bat, do something.
She didn't have enough Mountain Dew for that. Brian had it all. He got it in the divorce. They'd invested in a lifetime supply as a wedding present, as a wedding present to each other. And it was a major sticking point in the divorce. Brian ultimately won.
She did nothing. No attempts to tamper with evidence. No attempts after the fact to uncover any conduct whatsoever. No attempts to delete the videos from her phone. Here's my phone, voluntarily given that information. I think that goes to the unsophisticated manner and unintentional death that occurred. I remember the first time I saw the suitcase video. And I know people have differing opinions. Tony Henderson, my colleague, had a different opinion when he saw it. But I remember the first time I saw the video, and I heard what she was saying to him. When he was saying, "Hey, Sarah, let me out. I can't breathe," and words to that effect. And the way that she was talking to him, and the statements that she gave him, in my mind, what has he done to her? What has he done to her?
What?
Any loved one you see in a
Is he
situation...
blaming George for hurting his mother by being murdered? What has he done to her? Did I get that right?
Let me out. I can't breathe. Or words to that effect. And the way that she was talking to him, and the statements that she gave him, in my mind, what has he done to her? What has he done to her? Any loved one you see in a situation like that is going to run and let him out. So my thought was, obviously, they were both drinking. But what has he done to her? And I think it's telling about what she'd endured. So it's not a clear-cut case, Judge. It's not black and white. There is some gray. And it's up to you to decide what's appropriate based on the court's, based on the jury's decision. But I would ask you to temper whatever justice that you think is appropriate with some mercy, and consider the fact that the state was willing to offer 15 years on a manslaughter as a lesser included offense based on the facts and circumstances that they were aware of prior to this trial. Thank you.
Thank you. Any rebuttal by the state? Court has had the opportunity to review the evidence and testimony that was presented at trial, the victim impact statements presented here today, the statements of character witnesses, both orally and in writing, Dr. Harper's report and testimony, the defendant's testimony, pre-sentencing investigation, the arguments of the state and the arguments of the defense. Court pronounces sentence as follows. Ms. Boone, court sentences you to life in the Department of Corrections with credit time served that Madam Clerk will provide to you momentarily. There are also court costs and costs of prosecution, which Madam Clerk will give you the totals of momentarily. Due to the court levying a life sentence, the court is inclined to liquidate those to a civil judgment unless I hear opposition from the state.
No opposition, Your Honor.
All right. Madam Clerk, if you could please give us the credit time served and the court costs, please.
4 years, 9 months, and 8 days, and the court costs are $418, a state prosecution fee of $100, a jerk fee of $50, and a PD. Oh, excuse me, you're not
I'm right.
So the total would be, would come up to $618.
All right, ma'am, the court costs and costs of prosecution are $618. Those will be liquidated to a civil judgment. You will be given credit time served of 4 years, 9 months, and 8 days. You will have 30 days from today to appeal the judgment and sentence in writing. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided to you. I'm going to have the courtroom deputy provide you the paperwork. Because you've been incarcerated for the last 58 some odd months, the court is going to declare that you are indigent in this matter. I cannot appoint the public defender to represent you as they are conflicted out. Similarly, I cannot appoint the regional conflict counsel to...
Neverly Darling asks, why do they even bother with time served? Is she eligible for parole and when? No, she's not eligible for parole. I don't think. They just say life. A full life. Eligible for time served. I don't know. I think maybe there's certain privileges you get after a number of days being incarcerated. 30 days, 90 days, 180 days. I don't know.
Represent you for the same reasons. The clerk will appoint an attorney from the conflict wheel who specializes in appellate litigation. And again, you'll have 30 days from today to appeal that judgment and sentence in writing. Do you have any questions for me? You will now be remanded into the custody of the Orange County Jail to transfer you to the Department of Corrections, and I wish you the best of luck. State, anything further?
No, Your Honor.
Defense, anything further?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you all very much. Court's off the record.
And she'll be going down to Lowell, where Katie McBanowa is, and where Dalia DiPolito is. It's a standard sentence for second-degree murder in Florida, I believe. The only question is whether you get the minimum. You know, if she'd have been a bit nicer, maybe she'd have got 22.5 years, which would still be a long time, wouldn't it? Still better than the 30, 40, I mean, how old is she? She could live another 35 years, easy. I thought that was a taco on her desk. It's an envelope. Tacos everywhere, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are they not going to fist bump? Is it not the moment? Oh, of course, her hands are chained to her waist.
I'll be able to. I'll be able to.
Look at that coat. What's he got there?
It's not that one.
Oh, that's Flash. That Flash says, that jacket, it says, I'm a countryman, but I'm modern enough to be in a city. I'm modern enough to be in a city. I'm a countryman, but I'm modern enough to be in a city.
Same one.
She's on her way.
Okay. Can you just give me a heads up when they get her here?
Yeah, I got you.
I gotta go down and see her real quick.
All right.
Start.
I'm going to miss this black lady sheriff deputy. We've been with her for months. She's been the one always bringing her in, bringing her out, giving her a pencil. She's been great. And this is where you sign to say we can incinerate the property that you came in with. And this is where you sign to remove all of your human rights.
They're going to go ahead and give me a signed document before she leaves. Oh, is that it? Can I see if she...
Ah, we should read that out, Amy. Tomorrow, maybe.
Is this it? Not no. It's the wrong one.
What's this jacket now? Look, she's got it from the same collection. I'm a country girl, but I'm modern enough to be in a city. Both of them. Look at him. He could be in the middle of New York. Fine. He could be on a ranch in Arizona. Fine. It works either way.
Just hold on. All you gotta do is sign. I'll help you do this. There's a special contingency form for the appeal. You have to sign. This is the one for the court to begin with. Appeal it. Hold on. Let's just get this done. Sarah,
I wonder what George's family do now when they all walk outside the courthouse. You know, kind of, they'd be really zoned out, right? It'd be a really weird moment. What are you going to do? You want to do something as a group, so that's maybe a restaurant. You know, you're not going to do an activity, are you? You're not going to say, "Hey, let's go bowling. Let's go and play miniature golf." George loved miniature golf. Maybe that would be a really nice thing to do, actually. It's sort of silly and, you know, memorable. Just go to a restaurant, you're just going to be looking at the menu thinking, yeah, well, does it matter? Chicken, I suppose. You know, does it matter? He's dead. And the verdict, you know, yeah, I don't think they want to eat. But miniature golf might be a nice way to just, a bit of levity to the situation, you know. Sometimes it's good just to put your reaction aside and head to that golf course. Yeah, they go to Ace Hardware. They go to Ace Hardware to buy, you know, what would they be buying? What would they be buying? Just a hammer. Just a hammer. The hammer that George lost.
one Mount Cork? Is this the one for the appeal?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. She's signing it now. Are you?
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, we'll file it, and then he already ordered to appoint another attorney. So.
Okay.
Do we not get to see her wheeled out?
Yeah, is this what you emailed me?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the order probation.
And she'll never taste Dr. Pepper again. Or maybe she will. They have vending machines in visitation, maybe? Or inside, for commissary. Yeah. What was that? Did you see that? He just stuck his hand out like, I don't know. What are we gonna do now? I don't know.
I want the person name. What about Gary? Did you bring him up?
Okay, so he hasn't signed it. I'll give you this paper. But the only difference between this one and the one that yes.
Ernest Garrett.
And the only difference is going to be, I think, that the original.
Yeah.
He said he lit already.
That's what they said. That's what he told me. Been telling them since last week he played. He said. So cancel.
Walking off the afternoon to take 2
That's the female.
Yeah. She's not here yet, is she?
I'll check when I take her.
Where we have here it's like Joe's a lot of experience. And we had an extra person. We were truly in starvation times. So they're like, all right, like we don't have.
So everyone just has to listen. I mean, that sounded flirty. I didn't hear what they said, but it sounded flirty. There's just people flirting, office people flirting, while she's waiting to be taken to jail forever. That cheerful office flirting. Yeah, the bus is ready. We've pulled the bus round back. Oh, look, the empty cockpit. And as Sarah Boone's flight comes to a smooth, permanent stop, she'll be back. She'll be back. She'll be back with an appeal. Well, we'll see a bunch of that. We'll see her in 30 days. Or is that just the final notice of an appeal? Well, I'm sure we'll see the document, at the very least. Or will she be back with Kranick? Or is he finally done? He can just put another judge. I'm moving office. Yeah. Well, there. We're just left with the Great Seal of the state of Florida. Oh, TVU networks. Yeah, back on the bus, Sarah. The bus is ready. I like that. Anyway, we should go. We should go. 3 hours 11. That's probably enough for after such a long break. What a terrible.
Honorable Jeffrey F. Frazier, Judge presiding.
Yeah, but we'll be back. We'll be back tomorrow and every day in the Christmas Metrix season. You know, spell it with an X and use another X to spell Metrix, as in Happy Christmas Metrix, as in Buy Me a Coffee Metrix, as in the link is in the description Metrix. And we'll be back. We'll be back with more content tomorrow. Tomorrow evening, maybe a little earlier. That'd be good. 5:02. 5:02. Okay, it's pretty cold. So we'll be back. We'll be back. And good to be back. And see you soon. And thank you for being here. And thank you for liking and subscribing and coffees and members and chats and stickers and all the rest of those great things that you guys bring. You guys are great. The greatest. The best. The best. We've got the best in the world soap right here on this show. It's fantastic. Well done, guys. So much appreciated. Okay.